Some people feel unduly limited when they become acquainted with the 7 deadly sins of logo design, but they really are your friend. Let's talk about it. To recap, the 7 deadly sins of logo design are B. Can't work in solid black. L. Lack of mass. O. Obscure contrast. W. Wayward or disharmonious parts. O. Overlapped elements. U. Unrefined shapes. And T. Thin lines, tiny elements. Some may not like them, but acronyms like blowout, B-L-O-W-O-U-T, help me remember lists. I hope this one, blowout, works for you. Some designers think these 7 deadly sins are just my opinion and as such may be easily ignored. But they would be wrong. Each one is rooted in the way humans see and the physics of light and vision, or the physics of printing, or the physics of web reproduction. Do you think science moves over for someone's opinion? No, of course not. Not my opinion and not your opinion. All you and I can hope to do is perhaps discover how these things really work and design accordingly, according to 2 principles. Anything else is immature and temper tantrums, refusing to recognize how things are. Still, some designers may be dismayed by this list and say, if you take away all the approaches that cause a blowout, there's so little left. How can we work? Remember, the essential quality of any good identity design is instant recognition and clarity. Anything that detracts from that is counterproductive and contrary to what a good identity should be. Others may be tempted to think, all of the good designs have already been created using the traditional methods. We have to go beyond them and find new and uncharted territory. Still others may feel the old methods are too confining, too old-fashioned, too been there, done that. They may think that for a truly contemporary identity, one should use new visual techniques, even if they don't really work. Let's compare our visual world to the world of music. In Western culture, the ancient Greeks worked out for us the diatonic scale of notes. From the simple octave with its 12 possible notes, no end of music has been composed. Century after century, style after style, from classical to country, from rock to reggae, jazz, blues, folk, rap. Notwithstanding the invention of new musical instruments, modern composers do not require new musical instruments to compose contemporary music. If you were to hear on a newscast, today the leading musicians of the world have agreed that no more good music can be composed. It's already been created. You might want to check and see if it's April Fool's Day. All of the music that is possible from the same simple notes has not yet been written, nor will we ever reach the point where no new music can be created. Some will say, "You're stifling my creativity." Why would anyone begrudge warnings that would prevent sure failure, especially when there are so many avenues remaining that can work? What beginners fail to see is that even though there are 7 deadly sins, there are still innumerable good possibilities left over. Take heart. There will never be an end of good, well-designed identities that work. Unfortunately, there will also be no end of poorly designed identities by people who have not learned or refused to learn the principles of this craft. One need only look through design annuals to be inspired by new and skillful design solutions for corporate identities. Sad to say, many of the bad examples shown in previous videos were also published in these same design annuals. Being published in a design magazine and saying it's good doesn't make it good. So if we go back to our exploration of the 3 identity components, word marks, logos, and monograms, and we've had a good self-brainstorming session, or better yet, multiple sessions, to come up with some ideas for each of the 4 possible concepts, corporate activity, corporate ideals, corporate name, and abstract, we still have to decide how we are going to model, render, or draw our identity. After using the conceptualizing techniques discussed previously, a designer will have a number of possible concepts for any given identity project. Naturally, many of these concepts will be rather raw. Even so, looking at the shapes made for each concept may provide some opportunities for cross-fertilizing ideas. A certain shape, even from an idea you don't want to pursue, may be just the thing that a good idea needs to make it work. This may foster a new round of conceptualizing based on the first round. After we have selected our best branding concepts from all those generated and avoiding specific things that will ruin an identity, the 7 deadly sins of logo design, what do we do next? We apply visual techniques that will give us many different ways to execute the design. Let's say you have decided on a lion as an appropriate concept for your client's logo, or an eagle, or a tree. Any of those words may seem lame or overused. Yes, there have been a million lion logos already. Maybe even half of them are good. That doesn't mean that there can't be a good lion logo that is different from any other lion logo that's ever been produced. Even one single concept can be executed in almost unlimited ways, and without committing any of the 7 deadly sins of logo design. The way you think does affect the way you work, and the way you work also affects the way you think. This next section, called Visual Techniques, will help you expand your horizons. There is an old saying, if the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. This Visual Techniques section will show you that there are many tools you have available to transform your concepts into remarkable finished identities. There are 10 different visual techniques isolated so far. To help remember this list, we have another acronym, CP Fullness. It could stand for Creative Priming Fullness, or Cool Potential Fullness, or maybe even Concept Fullness. Yeah, I know that acronyms by their very nature can be a bit contrived, but they can be helpful too. To recap, avoiding the 7 deadly sins of logo designs are not a limitation on your creativity. They save you from doing something bad to your logo. There is still a whole world of useful, excellent avenues available. Just stay away from the 7 that will kill the utility of any logo. So we've seen how to generate lots of concepts. What you do with those concepts is what we'll cover next. We'll look at some great examples of visual techniques. These are what can transform any concept, even a common one, into a professional, even a remarkable identity. Here is where the real artistry of branding design comes in, and that section is coming up next. For more information, go to logodesigntheory.com. If you found this useful, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with anyone who needs to know more about logo design.